Can I also ask about the difference between... You've had interim managers before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Have they become permanent managers after that? Have you been in a situation where Manchester United are right now, where the interim manager becomes a permanent manager based on a good run of results?
No, I've not. I've had people come in and take over for a small period of games, then they've appointed somebody else. So.
Surely there must be a difference in how players perceive an interim and a permanent manager. I mean, you look at... I think Chelsea are probably the most famous example. Yeah. They've given the job to managers who started off as interim managers, won them a Champions League final as well, actually.
Di Matteo, yeah.
His brother. I'm kidding. And then obviously, I can't remember how long Di Matteo lasted for, but it was what?
Not long into the next season.
Yeah, not even 6 months, I think. Maybe 4 months.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it, Inter? I mean, Solskjaer's come in and done so well. I mean, we were talking, Gary, me off screen, we thought they might have just given him the job at the end of the season. It might have been the right time to do it. So I think it just depends on the job you do, doesn't it? And, you know, he's had the feel-good factor straight back into Man United. The players obviously like him. I don't think... Under Mourinho, they felt there was like the players, and then there was Mourinho. I think with Solskjaer, it feels like they're all in it together. They've got the help of Phelan. You've got Michael Carrick there with a lot of experience. You've got Alex Ferguson in the background also, you know, helping out with advice. So they've got a really good mix of people. It's just whether Solskjaer now can add a few to this group and then develop it.
Well, how important is the role of a technical director going to be at Manchester United, something which they don't have currently? I'm sure they're going to get one because, all due respect, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has never dealt with the budget of the Manchester United. Cardiff don't have the budget. Molde certainly don't have the budget. This is uncharted territory.
That's where he's going to need help, isn't it? And maybe it could be from people like Sir Alex. I'm not sure how involved he is, but he's going to have someone help him out on that because we're talking about the signings that they might need to make and the contracts they need to do. It's big numbers, isn't it? Really big numbers.
But Manchester United still have a team of people in the background who are analysing players from all around the world on a game-by-game basis, and they feed information into the decision maker, which, you know, whether that is ultimately going to be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or not, or whether that's going to be him in conjunction with a director of football, but they feed little packages in, and off those packages, and plus what, you know, Solskjaer and the director of football watch and see themselves, ultimately they make a decision. So, you know, it's not as if there's a big void at Old Trafford at the moment where nobody's looking at players that they can possibly sign. I should imagine there's a number of lists of players in a number of positions.
Well, the club didn't want to sign them last summer. That's something which Mourinho complained about publicly.
Well, you know, wanting to sign a player and actually getting him are two different things. Wanting to sign a player and that player being available, again, you know, lots of things have to line up. You know, why is that club going to let him go if he's such a good player who's going to play for Manchester United? Well, possibly because Manchester United are going to pay a king's ransom for him. Possibly because the player's run down his contract and he's forcing his way out. So lots of other things need to drop. It's almost like signing a player today is like completing a Rubik's Cube. You know, it truly is.
Yeah. Let me ask this. The players seem to me to have so much power now. If they want to move, they will get the move. Look at Courtois at Chelsea. He just didn't turn up for training, did he?
No.
Early August?
Yeah.
After the World Cup. He got his move.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. You know, the player is king. All the power, pretty much, is with the player.
Okay. But for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, back to the topic at hand, do you think it will end in tears, or do you think he can really chug on and be a big success?
I think he needs... Like, we know, obviously, I've been criticising Pogba for not being outstanding week in, week out. I think he needs people like him, he needs Rashford, he needs De Gea, all to commit to the cause going forward, because they're the questions you're going to be asking now. Are you with me now going forward? Because you need 4 or 5 top players within your squad and to add to it for him to achieve what he wants to achieve. And I think the big conversation he's going to have in the next few weeks.
Well, because... On one side, you could say it's a safer point putting him as the permanent manager because obviously the results are speaking for themselves. He's really turned the ship at Manchester United. Now they're competing to get into Europe this season. On the other side, you would say the safe appointment would be a Louis van Gaal, would be a Jose Mourinho because of their track record, which is something which Solskjaer certainly doesn't have, at least not yet.
There was a brand of football as well that the people didn't like, didn't it? The fans were, you know, they were moaning and complaining. People didn't like watching Man United play. I know that's not that. You know, Mourinho won trophies, so and for me, sometimes you have to look at that and go, well done. He's achieved stuff. But the Man United fans were sick of going to Old Trafford and watching that brand of football. They want to see free-flowing attacking football. I don't think they saw that today against Watford. But there's a lot of work to do. But I think under Solskjaer and a few other additions to his team, you might see more of that kind of style of football.
Did you see the Louis van Gaal comments that football hasn't progressed as much as it's made out to be under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? I mean, he said it was still park the bus. He used that phrase, park the bus.
He's certainly got a point, hasn't he? I think when you've managed the club, and you're at the end of your career and you're retiring. Was it the right thing to say? I'm not sure. He's had an amazing career himself. I think if I was the next man, you'd be encouraging, your next manager to go and do well.
Yeah. Van Gaal's been an outstanding coach. I think that's sour grapes, personally.
It is a little bit, isn't it?
But can I just throw this one back to you two?
Me?
That is Zinedine Zidane, when he went in at Real Madrid, what was his track record? What was his pedigree in being a head coach and manager of a club?
Better squad, though, mate, let's be honest.
No, I know. I didn't say it. I said, what was his track record? Was it a bold move or was it a gamble?
Well, that's the thing.
Was it a brilliant move or it turned out to be a brilliant move?
It turned out to be brilliant,
but it could have been a gamble that went wrong. So I'm saying that, yes, Solskjaer has a really, really good chance of succeeding at Old Trafford.
The better example might actually be Pep Guardiola. Because obviously he's
Barcelona.
And then he took over at Barcelona. He won the Champions League twice.
Wasn't he running the B team as it were at Real Madrid?
The same. Yeah. But the difference is Guardiola's now won championships in other countries, England included. Zidane's only done it in Spain, and he had Ronaldo to help him. Of course. That's always a big help. Yeah. We saw how much they've struggled in the Champions League without Cristiano and Zinedine Zidane at the helm. Perhaps. How much importance does the manager have when you have players like Cristiano Ronaldo? That's the other question, I guess. This could spiral out of control, this conversation, down. So you feel that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be a success
it's going to take time.
A year, 2-3 years.
Yeah, listen, it's not going to happen next season.
How long do they give him?
Well, he's got a 3-year contract, hasn't he?
But David Moyes' contract
I'm not saying
technically
he'll get
hasn't finished
Listen,
yet.
at Man United and you judge at the highest level, listen, it'll be next season, halfway through the season, it'll be see how he's doing. If he's not doing great, and I'm sure they'll be thinking about somebody else because they're the biggest club in the world, aren't they? I don't like to say that, but it's the true fact.
But do you think he'll be a success?
I think it's going to be difficult. I think I need to give him a bit more time. I need to see what players he brings in. I know Gary said they don't need to bring too many players in. I think they do need to bring a few in, and I think they need to strengthen.
Yeah. But see, there's a precedent there. With Spurs, for 2 transfer windows, they haven't brought a single player in. Are they a lesser side this season than they've been for the last 2 or 3 seasons? Well, if you look at their league position, the answer is absolutely no. Therefore, and you look at some of the younger players coming through at Manchester United, I think McTominay's going to be a really valuable, good, top central midfield player for them. He might be the one who can go box to box and score them some goals, for example, which is what I think they do need.
Yeah, on the topic of youth players, I mean, you cover a lot of youth matches in England. You do a lot of commentary. You're at plenty of games. I know focusing mainly on Liverpool, obviously, but you must have done
I've seen a lot of teams, I mean, Man United, Greenwood, I've seen him plenty times for Manchester United this season, and I think he's an excellent young player. They've got Chong, they've got there's a couple of other guys in the youth setup at Man United. On previous years, me watching youth football at Man United, I wasn't as excited. This year, especially when I seen Greenwood, I was like, whoa, this kid's got a lot of ability. So I think they're making the right strides in that, because I always believe that it's important that there is players coming through the youth systems at all levels, at all clubs, because we've seen it with Rashford, people like that, and we've seen it at Liverpool, Trent Alexander-Arnold, for example. That encourages the rest of the youth players and the people in the academies to do better. I remember when Robbie Fowler got in the team before me at Liverpool, there's a kind of little jealousy thing comes into you where you go, I won't mind a bit of that. He was a better player than me, don't get me wrong.
Different positions,
but you still want to play, and you sometimes need one of your mates to get in to give you that little bit of a push. And I think I've seen that at Liverpool this last couple of years. I've seen it at Man United when watching their youth team, and it's a good thing to have that.
Do you think that Michael Owen becoming such a success at Liverpool at such a young age spurred Steven Gerrard on
most definitely.
even more.
You can't help being inspired by young players coming through. It's great. I mean, I see Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool coming back, watching the youth team. I tell you what, there's a little buzz about them. They all know he's there watching. He comes and watches when he can. I think it's important you have that link. That, you know, you've got the youth in the first team, because it's so important that you get your local lads through the system at whatever level. You know, Gary knows himself. The fans love to see a local player get into the team, burst on the team. Look at Rashford. He's a legend now at Man United already, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's been playing, for 3 years?
And there's also at Old Trafford Gomez, an 18-year-old English lad as well. I think he's made maybe 5 Premier League sub-appearances.
Yeah.
You know, and another decent player. You know, youngsters need opportunities. Clearly, Solskjaer is not concerned or frightened about giving opportunities.
Just going back to the Mourinho thing, is that this wouldn't have happened. These lads wouldn't have got the opportunity, I don't think, under Mourinho. But I think with Ole involved with the other people, I think we're going to see more lads at Man United getting opportunities.
And that's very important for you.
I think it is, yeah. I think it's huge, yeah, definitely. And I think even I've seen it at Liverpool over the years. Some of the signings. There was good young players within the youth system, and sometimes maybe people like Benitez and that, they didn't want to play the homegrown British players, which I think, if they're good enough, get them in. You don't have to go and sign someone from Spain just because when you've got someone ready-made, you don't have to be Spanish. And there was a thing going on at Liverpool for a while, but I think they've changed that now.
Yeah.
But the one and only reason that happens is because managers or head coaches, whatever you want, are trying to stay in a job. And that is based on one thing, and it's results.
Yeah.
So Benitez, for example, is going experience, experience, experience. Mourinho, experience, experience, experience. Proven track record, okay? And that gives no youngsters an opportunity.
Doesn't make it right.
Rashford got his chance because there was a number of layers of injuries at Old Trafford, and suddenly he plays in a Champions League game away from home and scores a couple of goals, and that gave him the opportunity. Solskjaer, I do not believe, is concerned about his job. Absolutely not concerned. So when you manage with no fear, that grows through the club. Okay? He manages with no fear because Solskjaer, of course, he doesn't want to get the sack, he doesn't want to fail, but because he has no fear, it gives him a greater chance of succeeding, and I believe he will.
This is going to sound like almost a ludicrous question, but let's just say I could guarantee you the league. I'll give you £200 million to spend. We can go buy, well, let's make it more because today's transfer market is crazy, 500 million. You could go sign Messi, Ronaldo, put them all in Liverpool, get them all to play together and win the league. But you're not going to have any youngsters come through that season. Which would you rather? Win the league with experienced heads who have done
it's
it?
an obvious question. I mean, obviously you want to win the league.
But that's the dilemma which a manager faces, doesn't it?
Well, we're talking about the development of young players. I just think that a lot of young players have been held up because of this, because people want to stay in jobs. It doesn't make it right, but I just feel that at Liverpool, because I see that closely, that the players do believe now is the chance. And it's a good thing. If you've got a player ready-made, that's going to save you 50 million or 40 million, why not give him a chance? Why not give him an opportunity?
Can not all managers, can some managers take that risk? I read an article today, in fact, you sent it to me about Bournemouth and how much of their revenue is based on the Premier League. Now, can Eddie Howe take a risk and start fielding a young team if the survival of the club is dependent on them being a
Every
Premier League
club's got to be different here, haven't they?
Yeah.
You can't compare Bournemouth to Liverpool, to Man City, to Man United. But no, I understand your point, and I understand. I just feel very strong that it's important for especially for the big clubs to give these young players opportunities because they've got the best young players for a reason. Liverpool, Man City, Man United, they've got this, and Chelsea, they've got all these great young players. I mean, Chelsea should be doing more of it, playing the young players. They've got loads of them. Why don't they play? They're better than what they've got. That's the whole point I'm making. I'm not saying every club, in its different situations, but I think the best club have the best young players.
And just going back to that point you said a moment ago about you've got all the money you need to go and buy all the best players in the world so you can win the Premier League. I'm saying to you, all the money in the world and buying what are deemed to be the best players doesn't guarantee that. Because if somebody said, go on, you've got all the money you want in the world, Gaz, you're in charge of Liverpool Football Club, for example, and therefore you're going to win the league, aren't you? I wouldn't put my life on it because there is no guarantee in this game. No guarantee.
But could Pep Guardiola have done as well as he's done if he hasn't been financially backed as he has been at Bayern Munich, at Manchester City, and also at Barcelona?
could he have done as well? I think it's unlikely. I think it's unlikely. We don't know.
We don't know.
No, of course money helps.
Yeah.
Of course it helps because it does enable you to buy. But you still got to buy. OK, he's deemed the best player. Player A is deemed the best player. But guess what? When he leaves Spain and comes to England, his family aren't happy. He doesn't like the weather. Whatever it might be, guess what? He doesn't perform for you.
Well, it's hit and miss. I mean, even Sir Alex Ferguson had some misses. They weren't all hits as well.
Of course.